morning everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel today. Thank you for coming down. Apologies if I have a couple yawns in this video or I look a bit tired. I didn't get back in until late last night after watching the West Ham Newcastle game with all the traffic and stuff. But yeah, I wanted to get straight into the Newcastle West Ham game basically. Obviously I want to preview a little bit of the Carabao Cup after watching Newcastle in person for the second time, and the two times I've seen Newcastle have been very contrasting. So the first time of the season, there you go, was the Carabao Cup against Arsenal when they came down to London and demolished us 2-0, and the second time was obviously last night. They won both games, but they won both games in very different ways. The game yesterday was scrappy. It reeked of a 0-0 really. When we got to half time, we looked at it. To be fair, every West Ham game I've been to 3 West Ham games this season so far. I've been to West Ham Brighton, West Ham Wolves, and West Ham Newcastle. For context, I didn't just go to West Ham games. I've also been to Fulham against Forest. And obviously the Arsenal Carabao Cup game. But anyway, yeah, every time I watch a West Ham game, they are yet to score in the first half. Well, there's yet to be a goal in the first half of the game. So yeah, but I mean, the tickets are 20 quid for the game, so I can't really complain, you know. But anyway, Newcastle, like I said, they got the job done yesterday, which is kind of what they needed to do. And I went with one of my mates who's from Newcastle. Shit. Yeah. Sorry about that. And he was saying that he would take a 0-0 in that game if it meant there were no injuries, no suspensions for the game on Sunday, which you can kind of appreciate because obviously they've lost Lewis Hall, lost Sven Botman, and lost Anthony Gordon, all 3 of which would have been starting on Sunday. It's pretty much like confirmed they would have started. I think the team he put out last night is the team that will play on Sunday. And the game itself, like I said, very scrappy, a bit boring. You got a bit of West Ham flying forward towards the end of the game, but it just too little too late for them, you know. They just didn't have any shape to the team going forward, West Ham, it felt like. Like Kudus and Bowen both played well, but they didn't play well together. Like they both did really well, but because they weren't playing off anyone, it was just them 2 up front. It just never worked. Like the midfield, I think you needed to have like a Paqueta in from the start. Now, I'm not sure if Paqueta could have played from the start, but having Ward-Prowse at the base, I actually didn't mind it. But the issue was you had Ward-Prowse, Souček, and Alvarez. Like, you just don't need that when you're already playing a 5-back, you know. You've already got the young kid at left wing back, you're playing a 5-back. Alvarez doesn't need to be on the pitch. He doesn't need to be on the pitch. You need one of Alvarez or Ward-Prowse in that game, because Ward-Prowse is playing as a 6, which means you've got 3 centre backs, a 6, a DM and Alvarez, and Souček, who is meant to be a DM, but he just flies forward because of his height, basically. So it just didn't have any fluidity really, and it's not what I expected to see from Potter really. Yeah, there were some nice phases of play. Like they had some nice one-touch football stuff. I thought Wan-Bissaka played well again. I think he plays really well again at that level for West Ham. Just always consistent for them. And they just couldn't. There was just that final piece missing in the final third. They were good until they got to there, basically. Newcastle, on the other hand, pretty much dominated the first half in terms of possession and chances, really. West Ham were quite quiet in the first half. West Ham had their best chance of the game basically in the first minute when Souček puts it over the bar from about 6 yards out. I think everyone in the stadium thought they couldn't believe it. They thought he was going to score in the first minute, basically. Yeah, Newcastle, they got the job done, and it just felt like they wanted to get that game done. It just felt like they didn't want to be in. They didn't want to be there. They just wanted to get to Sunday, and maybe that's what it's been like for them for the past, I don't know, month maybe. They just wanted to get out and get to the final. But obviously they've got to the final now, and they are weakened, and they're gonna have to sit in deep against Liverpool. I think it's the only way they can get a result. Because when I was watching the two centre backs of Burn and Shaw, they couldn't handle Bowen and Kudus. Like, they would just go run in circles, literally running circles around them. They would drop in and just turn them, and every time Kudus was having a field day against Trippier. So I think it could be a long day for Newcastle, and it could just be a repeat of the league game we saw a couple of weeks ago. It wouldn't surprise me, but the big difference from that day is Alexander Isak, and he summed up what I just said about Newcastle. He didn't want to be there. He just wanted to get to Sunday. He looked off it for pretty much the entire game. Albeit he didn't get much service. You know, Murphy was playing his championship passes. Barnes was very quiet. There were a couple of occasions where Barnes or Livramento on that left hand side, they should have cut it back to Isak, who was pretty much on the penalty spot just in front of it. Especially in the first half, it happened quite a bit. There was a glaring one where I think Barnes literally got to the byline. Basically, he tried to shoot him from there, and Isak had acres, literally it's a jar box. He just didn't cut it back, and that's where you look at it and you go, if Anthony Gordon was playing, he sets that up and it's a goal. So they're definitely gonna struggle on Sunday. Wherever they can get. See, you can see I'm tired, we didn't get a bit in till midnight. Yeah, so the game itself wasn't a great watch, but it was quite insightful to see Newcastle again, and it's the first time I've seen Potter ball at West Ham. I can see what he wants to do with the patterns of play and stuff, but he needs to get his own players in. You can just tell he's not got his players in yet, and the team aren't fluid enough for Potter yet. So I think we can't judge West Ham at all this season, basically. Yeah, you can't judge West Ham at all this season. I think you give it a year and then you see where they're at. But I actually do like Potter's appointment for the club. I think he's going to do well there. I think it's his sort of level where he can take a team from languishing in the bottom half to pushing for Europe. Maybe not getting it every year, but I think he can definitely push them up to like 8th, 7th. You know, pushing into that bracket of teams. How much money West Ham will have available to him is another question. I did think about this because they've spent a lot of money. Because we thought in the summer that they won the transfer window, and on paper it looked really good. You know, Wan-Bissaka came in for like 20 mil. Fulkrug was 27 mil. You had Tadibo coming in for about 40. Who every time I've watched Tadibo play, he just looks slow and like he turns like Eric Dyer. Like, I don't get it. He ran like Xerxes yesterday at one point. I remember I made the joke when he was. I think he won the ball on his own off and sprinted up the byline. He did not want to be sprinting up the byline. Like, you could just see it. He just didn't want to go. And he was just sprinting like Xerxes. I was like, Jesus, he's slow. I thought he was meant to be quick to Tadibo across the ground, but obviously Man United wanted him, and it kind of shows you their scouts, how their scouting is working, because Tadibo's not. For me anyway, I'm not rated him from what I've seen so far, so I don't know what these scouts are seeing. Yeah, he needs to get his own players in. Obviously, he's brought Evan Ferguson in. He clearly doesn't feel he's ready to start, or he's not good enough to start in these games against the top teams, because otherwise he would have played him yesterday. Ended up playing a 4-4-2 with Paqueta in the midfield by the end yesterday, which was odd. Yeah. So they're going to need to have another good transfer window. But it depends how much they want to back the manager, because they're going to back to back and they're going to have to get a striker in. It was good to see Mikel Antonio. I want to mention that he came out before the game. They had a big announcement for him, so it's good to see that he's walking again and on his feet and out and about. Quite surprising, really. When he came out, we were all like, "Is he got a crutch? Is he in a boot? Like, is he just walking?" I think he had a little bit of a limp, but in the whole, he looked quite healthy and fit. So who knows? He might be back for the new season at this rate. And they could do with him, to be fair, even just as an option, because I don't know what they're going to do with Danny Ings. You know, he's still on their books. He came on last night for the last 5 minutes or so and was just ineffective. You know, he had no impact on the game whatsoever. Ferguson had much impact on the game. I don't know what Brighton are going to do with him. Once upon a time he was worth about 80-90 mil supposedly for some teams, and now it looks like he's not going to get a kick anywhere. So it's going to be a challenge for Potter. I think it's going to be trickier than I thought it would be for a Matchday, just because of the sort of players he's got at the club. You know, they're not Potter players. You know, Souček is not a Potter player, but he's still an effective player. I think Bowen will do well. Kudus, I thought last season that, with how he was playing, I was like, he's going to be the one that Liverpool go after when Salah does go. But it's just the end product with Kudus. Sometimes he's a fantastic player, and he's the one that United should have signed instead of Anthony. But he just needs to work on that end product. Speaking of Anthony, on a complete tangent, he's killing it in La Liga right now. And yesterday I said, imagine if after all this time Anthony's actually good. Like, it was just all United. Anthony's actually a good player. Like, imagine in the summer he gets a move to, I don't know, goes to like Sevilla, or he goes Atletico or something like that, and he gets like a 20-25 goals and assists next season. It would be the funniest thing, and United would look like absolute clowns, and it would just confirm how broken that club is, basically. But yeah, as on a complete tangent, I just thought it was a funny point to have a look at. Yeah, so looking ahead to the rest of the season for Newcastle, it's looking a bit sticky for them. I've just done my predictions for the rest of the season. I'm going to be posting a video soon, so check that out if it's already out by the time you watch this. I predict every single result from now to the end of the season. I actually got yesterday's wrong, so Newcastle might actually be higher up than I thought in my one. I put I thought it'd be a 1-1 draw yesterday. And yeah, they obviously got the 1-0 win, so they're going to be higher up my things. I do think they'll pick up. I think once they get Anthony Gordon back, their fixtures are quite nice. They're quite kind, the fixtures, compared to certain teams. Like, I've looked at Chelsea, and well, I mean, I'll get into it in the video, but they've got much trickier fixtures than Newcastle do. But I think they'll push for the top 4. I think they'll just miss out on it, but I do think that having Gordon back will help them massively. He's obviously a big miss, and I think Harvey Barnes, while he's a good player, he's not Anthony Gordon. I think at the start of the season he was bagging in goals, but I think he got injured or just fell out of favour at the team, and he hasn't recovered that form. And obviously, I was saying before, a couple of weeks ago after the Brighton game, that he needs to step up in the absence of Gordon, so they have a chance in the Carabao Cup. After watching them yesterday, I can't give them that much hope. Maybe they'll switch it on for the big game, you know. And then, because we were talking about Liverpool having PSG tonight, and what Newcastle would want to happen. If Liverpool were to lose tonight, you get a wounded animal on Sunday, which can go one of two ways. It either means Liverpool come out all guns, which is what I think would happen. Liverpool come out all guns blazing and absolutely just try and blow Newcastle out of the water in the first 20 minutes, basically. And I don't think you want that. I don't think you want a wounded animal Liverpool. I think you want a depleted Liverpool. You want them to, not depleted, but like what you call it, like an exhausted Liverpool. You want them to play 120 minutes tonight and go out on penalties, you know, or you want them, or even if they go through in like extra time, but it's like a slog, like it's 4-3. It's an emotional night. Like that's what you want for them. You want them to be emotionally drained before the final. So then when it comes to the final, they haven't had the same recovery as Newcastle. They've had to play 120 minutes. They've had less prep time. You know, that's what, all those sort of things you want. So they'll be hoping it goes into extra time tonight and penalties, really. But obviously, if you win on penalties, it can be a big boost at the same time. So it's a fine line for Newcastle with what they want tonight. Yeah. So I think that covers pretty much most of the game. Like I said, I haven't spoken about the game all that much last night because there wasn't that much to speak about. I thought Trippier had a really poor. We'll go through the team. You know, Pope, he looked really shaky on the ball. He's just lost that whatever he had a couple of seasons ago. He's not got it back. And Dubravka looks like Newcastle's top goalkeeper now, even though he's going to stick with Pope. He didn't look convincing at all, and I think his time's up at that club, really. Trippier, same sort of story. He just looked miles off it. Kudus was just running past him at will, and it was just too easy for him. Kudus, it was way too easy. Trippier didn't even lay a glove on him. You know, he didn't even get a foul in, nothing. He couldn't get close enough to touch him. Centre halves of Shaw and Byrne, again, they didn't really get close. It's harsh rating them low because obviously they didn't concede a goal. We'll go like 6 out of 10s for them too. Like they were just there. West Ham didn't really do enough to push them. You know, they didn't test them enough. They didn't look convincing. They were getting pulled to the wide positions and just getting spun every time. But West Ham just didn't punish them enough, didn't make them run enough. I think with them two being 33 or whatever, 33, 34, you need to just clip it in behind. And I think that's what you see from Liverpool the weekend. You'll see them finding Salah clipped over the top, because if you get them two eyes down on the wing every time, like they're just going to get ran past. So yeah, they didn't have a great game. I don't know how really they got away with a draw, but not a draw, a clean sheet. And then Livramento, I thought he did quite well against Bowen, to be honest. Bowen didn't get that much joy. Whenever Bowen got joy, it was in the middle of the pitch. So I give Livramento maybe a 7. Yeah, maybe a 7, 7.5. I thought he actually did quite well. He could have done better going forward sometimes, but he had a solid game. Give Trippier a 5. I'll give Pope a 5. And then midfield of Tonali, Guimaraes and Joe Linton. I give Tonali. He was good at times, you know, he was driving through the midfield on occasions. Give him maybe a 6.57. I thought he at times he was just running through that West Ham midfield. Him and Bruno have a really good relationship, I think. They need to keep that going if they want to have any success in the future. Joe Linton, he was just a bit of a bulldog yesterday. It was just fouls galore. If it was him getting fouled or him fouling someone else, so I don't know how he didn't get booked in the game. But again, it wasn't a convincing game, I don't think, for Joe Linton. He just did what Joe Linton does and didn't do much else, so I give him a 6. Bruno G. He was probably Newcastle's best player last night, if I'm being honest. Obviously, he got the goal, and everything went through him in that midfield. There was I don't know if you guys actually watched the game. There was a little clip during the game in the his own half. He skips past one, and then literally roulettes around the next one, and you're like, oh, like everyone, even all the West Ham fans were like, oh, like that's stupid what he's just done there. So I don't get the Bruno critics. I see a lot of people saying like, oh, he's not even that good. He's not even Newcastle's best midfielder, and I can't believe people say this. You know, I'd take him in a heartbeat at Arsenal. I think Newcastle are quite fortunate in terms of City signing Nico Gonzalez, meaning that they probably won't go after Bruno now. But yeah, I give him an 8. I think he had a good game, but I feel like he has good games often. Ooh. Yeah, I feel like he has good games often for Newcastle. And then we go to the front three. Jacob Murphy. How he still plays for Newcastle, I never understand. I know he's been getting goals and assists lately, but what we found out yesterday was that his final ball or his pass or whatever, it either goes out for a goal kick or it goes like pinpoint. What the fuck are you doing? Sorry. Sometimes drivers in London just drive at the bend. I don't know if you guys live in London, but if you ever drive on the North Circular, there's always one or two idiots on the road. Anyway, yeah, Murphy, biggest championship player I've seen. That's all I've got to say. He couldn't even make a 3-yard pass at times yesterday. It was just awful. I'm giving him. Maybe it's my agenda against him. I'm giving him a 4.5. He was just useless. Maybe that should be. Maybe I'm being harsh. You know, 4.55. You know, yeah. Barnes. He didn't do a lot wrong. Didn't do a lot right. Like, he should have had a bit better end product. Couple wrong decisions here and there. I'll give him a 6. Like, nothing great. Yeah, I think he got this for the goal, to be fair, which is a nice ball in. Maybe I'll bump up to 6.5 then, because it was a decent ball in for the goal, but the rest of the game was pretty ineffective, you know. And then lastly, Isak. He was very off it. Like I said, it looked like he didn't even want to be there. He just wanted to get through the game without an injury and get to Sunday. So for that, I'm going to give him a 5.5, 5, or maybe 5.5. I didn't think he had a good game at all. I don't think he got enough service to him, first of all. I don't think he got any service at all, basically. But even when he got the ball to his feet, his touch wasn't quite right in the game. His movement wasn't quite there. Maybe he just got fired up for the Arsenal game. You know, maybe he thought, oh, it's an audition for a big team sort of thing. You know, maybe. But yeah, he didn't look on it at all yesterday. So we'll be hoping that he can turn it on a bit more for the Liverpool game, and it wouldn't surprise if he does go and get a goal or two against Liverpool. But yeah, that's what I go for the Newcastle players. West Ham, I don't think I need to go through the whole team. They're pretty much all 5s and 6s, apart from, I'd probably say, Kudus maybe gets 7 and Bowen maybe gets a 7. To be fair, I thought the young kid Scars had a good game. Didn't take too many risks, but I was never expecting to, you know, take that many risks as a young kid. I thought he had a good game. But yeah, otherwise, 5s and 6s, nothing too convincing. Maybe Areola gets a 7 as well. Actually, he made a couple of good saves. But yeah, if you guys have any topics you want me to talk about on my commute to work, hopefully you're enjoying the waffle so far. That's how I describe it. Yeah, let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about. Comment down below and subscribe to the channel, please. I'm trying to grow as much as I can. I don't know how many people are actually watching these videos, but I'm enjoying doing them, so hopefully some people find some enjoyment out of them. But yeah, thank you guys for coming along today, and peace.